So the board opened shortly after 7 o'clock. We were in executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 214, Section 1B, and Mass General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7, Clause 220.26C, to discuss financial assistance to a resident in need. Okay. We're in open session. We have 3 discussion items. 3.1, approve requests for support for residents in need due to COVID-19. Review and discuss resident in need safety net program in response to COVID-19 and discuss COVID-19 emergency relief funds policy. And 4.0, adjourn the meeting. So 3.1, Derek, I'm going to toss this over to you. Is this what we discussed? Should we re-motion, approve request, or are we going to, would you like to talk about the program that you've been working on with Janice?
Yeah, so I'll start there. So there was a meeting held on Monday afternoon. Selectman Simus was involved. We had representatives from the Bloomer Girls, representatives from the Men's Club, Janice Nowicki and Jessica from the COA were in attendance, and Chief DeFranzo as well. And so all these folks were convened together so that we can start to put together a program. And Pastor Laurie was also there from the United Parish. Start to put together a program, recognizing that there's a great need out there. A lot of folks have been laid off or lost their jobs or reduced hours through their employers due to the stay-at-home order by Governor Baker. So the goal really is to try to organize all of these agencies that provide in some way, shape, or form social services to many of the residents in our community. Right now, they all do that individually, and so we thought that it would be better if we leverage those resources and work together and then come together under one umbrella program, which is going to be called Neighbor to Neighbor, Upton's Neighbor to Neighbor. It was a suggestion, I think, made by Pastor Laurie of a branding so folks know that, the town is working together with all of our nonprofit organizations to try to provide assistance. We're going to have a follow-up meeting this Friday. Right now, we're in the, the fact-finding stage. We're trying to address or understand what are the needs out there. We know that some folks have food insecurities, and that's a need. Utilities or fuel assistance is a need. Folks have lost their jobs, so obviously unemployment assistance is an additional need on top of, and folks brought this up the other day, what about prescriptions and other medical necessities? So we're out there right now doing that assessment and that analysis so that we can come back hopefully next week with a better sense of what the gap is out there, and then seek funds through one of the welfare trust funds to try to support those gaps. But at the same time, we recognize that there are already resources that are out there. We know that there are a number of agencies in Central Massachusetts that can help us fill those needs. So Janice does a great job with already connecting folks to the resources that are existing. So this program is going to be a connector, and it's also going to be another resource that if we don't have another agency providing that service, we will fill that gap.
Okay. And of course, we've talked about it in the past. The Board of Selectmen has some trust fund money that is at our discretion to use to help residents in need. So I think we discussed this at our last meeting, and certainly I can't speak for all 3 of us, but we're all in support of wanting to help the residents in a time, a pandemic of this magnitude. Certainly, this is be some welcome relief for people. So, Maureen or Brett, do you have anything you'd like to add, or any questions you may have for Derek?
Shut the door. No, I'm good for that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it sounds great. It's a great process that's been started. So good job, and appreciate Derek stepping up and pulling it all together.
Very good.
Well, I would just say that, I spoke to each one of you individually about this, before we really started to embark upon this, and each one of you individually, have talked to folks in the community and have seen that need. And so, it was, the three of you kind of pushing us along to say, okay, what else can we do, right? We know the federal government's out there helping. We know there's unemployment assistance out there, but, I appreciate you kind of giving us the latitude to try to run with this. I talked to Janice about this today, and I have to be totally honest with you. I don't know another community in Central Mass that's putting together a program like this. I had a conference call with area town managers, and I asked the question, hey, just so we can steal ideas, right? Why we create something if it's already out there? And so, the folks from Auburn and Grafton and other places, they all said to me, we're not doing anything, but when you put something together, let us know. Can you send it along so maybe they can mimic it? So, I had this conversation with Janice. I think this is an opportunity for the community to come together and really be a leader here in Central Mass.
And can I speak?
Oh, there's Janice.
Mr. Chair? Okay, great. So
Yes,
I what's that?
I said welcome.
Oh, thank you. Well, let me tell you, I think this is an exciting opportunity for us as me as the director of Elder and Social Services, and what we've been trying to provide for the town. And so I'm excited to be able to get out there. I'm sad that this is the circumstances, but I'm excited about what we can do. And it's just, having Derek support, the Board of Selectmen support, and just rallying the town community and that whole sense of community. There's so much that we can do. Like Derek said, there's resources that we can connect people with too. And, it's just exciting that we can do this. I'm happy to be able to be part of this, is what I'm trying to say.
Very good. Janice, are you still with us or do we lose you?
I'm here.
Okay.
So if you have any questions for me, this is a beginning process, but I've also spoken with other COA directors in the area, and they aren't thinking this. So leaders in the area, show them how it's done.
Well, very good. I'm sure it's going to be a very busy time coming up for you over the next month or two.
I think it's going to be much longer than that. These are going to have lasting effects on people. So, and we will be here.
Well, very good. It's great to hear your enthusiasm. Derek, is there anything else about the program that we can talk about right now?
Nothing more about the program itself at this time. There should be more details coming forward, especially after Friday's meeting. But I would just let you all know that this program really is going to be managed by the COA. Janice and her team, they are well experienced in interfacing with folks in need, digging deep and trying to really understand what services that we can provide to them. So we're looking forward to kind of taking this to the next level and seeing how we can kind of be a supplemental program to a lot of the other resources that are already out there.
I think it'll be interesting over the next several weeks to see if the greater need is for actual food. If that seems to be, if people are nervous about leaving their homes or nervous about going to grocery stores, I wonder if that will be something that will be more of a need, or if it'll be perhaps gift cards or something along those lines. I was just watching something on the news about, I think they're organizing it through the New England Patriots, where they're putting together boxes that would have up to 2 weeks of meals prepared, and they're trying to distribute those to veterans and other needy residents in the area, in the Foxborough area.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. That's why it'll be interesting to see out of the possible need and the possible request that residents could have. It'll be interesting to see what is the overwhelming, or if there is an overwhelming number one. So, all right. Do we have anything else that we need to discuss?
Derek, are you pulling something up here?
Yeah, I was on mute. So the last item on the agenda is this document here. Let's see if you can scroll up. So this, we're presenting it tonight for the first time. Certainly doesn't have to be voted on tonight if you need time to review it. But as you know, the Board of Selectmen has had a long-standing policy through the Ella Racine Trust regarding the procedure in which those funds would be distributed. The policy that's in front of you today is a modification of that. Specifically, it is to outline the procedure in which we would distribute funds for those people who are in need, again, because of the virus that we're dealing with now in the environment. So this is the policy. It outlines the implementation procedure, whereas Janice will be taking the lead. She will meet with folks after she receives their application. She would then try to understand what their needs are. You can see the eligibility is here. They must be an Upton resident. They must have a limited income based upon the circumstance of because of COVID. So if someone lost their job 6 months ago, this wouldn't apply. This is for individuals who may have lost their job or has a reduction in their wages because of COVID. You can see here there are a number of items that we've plugged in there that we would provide assistance for: housing, utilities, heat, food, prescriptions, medical expenses, just to name a few. And then C here just references the director's customary practices when it comes to certain documentation that would be required that she would need in order to go through the proper vetting process. Ultimately, Janice and her team would meet with these individuals, as I described in the past, and then a final recommendation will be made to myself. And as the checks and the balances that would be in place, and then a summary report would be submitted to the Board of Selectmen, and if further action was needed by the board, say the funds were depleted, we'd come back to the board potentially to seek additional dollars.
And one thing that came up that's not captured there, Derek, and it may be important, it's outside of the financial mandate or mission of the group, but I know there was conversation. Pastor Lori mentioned it, Janice, certainly you mentioned it, around sort of emotional support, maintaining connection for people that may be shut in or elderly folks that live by themselves and are used to having some form of socialization but now don't have any, whether it's because family aren't visiting or can't visit, or they don't have the ability to use technology. So we talked about setting up phone conversations. We know that there were people from the Bloomer Girls that volunteered. We know there's people in the men's club that can volunteer. I know Pastor Lori has people that can volunteer to do things like make phone calls just to connect with people. And that was part of what folks were going to start doing, was putting together a call list like that. So I don't know if we want to include that here or not because it's non-financial, but it's probably good for people to at least understand that that's part of the mission for Upton Neighbor to Neighbor.
All right, I'm just making notes.
So Brett, are you thinking somewhere in the kind of the definition of what we're trying to accomplish here, you wanted to make mention of that kind of community network?
Yeah, yes, yeah, and I don't know how we would word it in though, because I think of it as like, you know, it's mental health, but it's also sort of just a general emotional support. So I don't know if we want to go sort of supporting the mental health of, you know, Upton residents during a particularly challenging time, or, you know, something along those lines. But yeah.
So are you suggesting maybe we put that up in the purpose? This is up in this space up here. I don't know if you guys can see it that well. I'm trying to, up here.
That would be,
Emotionals, that this is, you know, this program is being put together not just for financial assistance as it's outlined here, but also for emotional support or mental well-being, mental health well-being.
Yeah.
so you would add another paragraph there?
I could add another paragraph, or maybe I was thinking about I could tweak the purpose. It says to consider requests, for financial assistance to support housing utility, but maybe I can work with Janice on the right language to put in there around emotional well-being, so folks know that this program is not just to provide financial support, but other types of support as well.
I think that might actually fit in good under the implementation procedure. You know, assistance for, you could make mention of it there and maybe up at underneath paragraph number 1. But where it lists housing, utilities, heat, food, prescriptions, medical expenses, that may be a good point to also bring in the emotional need.
So you recommend we put in 2 places, so we could put it here?
Put in emotional support?
Yeah, see where it says number 2B, assistance for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That may be a good spot to put it in, or at least kind of reinforce the idea.
See my highlight? Can you see my highlight?
Yeah.
So is that what you're suggesting, Steve? Everybody.
Yes.
So I can add it there and then maybe include a statement as well under purpose. And I can work with Janice on the correct language to put in that statement.
Okay.
Janice, are you there?
I'm here, and because I'm thinking about that, and then I'm thinking if we're going to add that, then we might need to discuss additional resources available. I mean, that kind of broadens the whole policy, adding that. So I'm just thinking about it. Because if it's financial, addressing emotional support and providing resources. I don't know.
Well, maybe we can think about that and circle back. You said there will be a meeting on Friday, Derek?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who do you expect to be? That'll be that'll be a conference type meeting, and who do you expect to be at the meeting or weighing in at the meeting?
I would expect most of the same folks that made themselves available Monday afternoon. Again, Pastor Lori, folks from the Men's Club, folks from the Bloomer Girls. Selectman Simons has volunteered his time towards this effort as well. And Janice and her team and Chief DeFranzo. Those are the initial folks who dialed in on Monday afternoon.
Okay.
And there was some question whether to add in Board of Health to that group as well.
Right.
Okay, you want to try to work through those over the next couple of days, Derek, and see what you think?
Yeah, we definitely, we can come back. We can talk to the group about this. There's a comment here from Ian O'Brien who asks a question about emotional support, and she wants to know if we add emotional support, would this trust fund cover the cost for our therapists if necessary? So I think that raises a good question. I think it's something that we'll have to consider during our conversation Friday morning.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions or comments regarding this? It's kind of a work in progress. Maureen or Brett, do you have anything?
No.
Nothing additional, no?
Okay. All right, Derek, do you have anything else we need to cover?
Not on the agenda, no.
Okay. We really don't have anything else. We don't have public comment on here. We don't have any other latitude to talk about anything else. I think maybe as a look ahead, we probably should think about timeline with the new information that's come from the federal government and the state government. Where are we going to be a month from today? I guess, does it make sense to execute the warrant next week, or do we hold off on that in case we have something we need to address in the warrant regarding COVID-19?
If that's a question for me, I would suggest we don't execute the warrant next Tuesday. The warrant is with KP Law right now, and they're reviewing it. I think what we could do possibly as one agenda item is just go through again, make sure it's all cleaned up, make sure it's the way we want it to be, and then when we're ready to execute the warrant, then it'll be ready to go. As you all know, the governor extended the stay-at-home order for May 4th, May 3rd, somewhere in that time period, and so that's going to be pushing up against our town meeting, which is May 7th. So it looks like the window is closing on the May 7th town meeting.
And I wonder, I know some school districts are doing online courses to try to keep the educational process moving forward. As of right now, the schools are still closed till May 4th. Do we have any feedback from the schools? Are they doing anything online for any of the students' classes?
So I can speak to that, at least from a memorial school perspective, my daughter being in second grade there. So, her teachers are sending out weekly packets. They've got Zoom meetings. They're doing music. They're doing language meetings. They're doing math meetings. They're meeting with their head teacher. They're doing show and tells with their entire class via Zoom. So there's a pretty well structured, albeit evolving curriculum that they're running through, and they're doing their best to figure it out, and the parents are working together to figure it out. But there's a lot of work that's going on. So I assume that's true for the entire district. I don't know, Derek, if you've gotten anything more formal from Dr. Muschek or not, but that's at least my anecdotal experience.
No, that's exactly, that's the only information that I've heard as well, that mostly online experiences.
Okay.
Steve, if you want me to just touch quickly on, I just brought this up just because I think it's interesting, and if we have 2 minutes, I hope you all can see this projection of COVID 19. And so this is a modeling that was conducted by the University of Washington, and so they have their modeling is around hospitalization and deaths per day, not the number of COVID cases. So I think folks would be more interested in what the modeling suggests for Massachusetts for deaths. And so when you start to look here, you start to see the increased deaths per day, and that we're really going to hit the apex according to this modeling. And again, in modeling changes depending on who's doing the modeling, but I would say it's probably within 5 to 7 days of accuracy. But they're suggesting mid-April. So in this case, by April 17th, Massachusetts will see upwards around 99 deaths per day at its apex. So the reason why I bring this up is because every day we hear the governor go on television and gives his daily update, and every day we see the numbers climbing as far as the number of positive cases and the number of deaths per day. And so as we start to lean forward in the next 3 weeks, you can start to see that, we are going to experience lots of death here in Massachusetts. The hospital system is projected to be overwhelmed. So it speaks really to the fact that we really have to implement the social distancing rules that the governor has been stating for quite some time now, and hopefully starting to get some traction. So I thought this model was interesting. I just kind of wanted to share with you all.
I was watching the news yesterday, and they had 2 doctors at the federal level at a federal meeting talking about the effects of the social distancing and what a dramatic effect it will have in mitigating so many cases and the spread of the disease. So their information appears or definitely suggests that it's working. It's just unfortunate because we're still on the upward climb of the bell curve.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think just looking at today's numbers, we are at 1,100 new cases from yesterday to today, for a total of 7,738 cases in Massachusetts, reporting 33 new deaths over the last 24 hours, for a total of 122. So, that's almost a 30% increase overnight, if my math serves me correctly. So 30 to 25%. So you're starting to see, again, looking at that model, you're starting to see these numbers starting to climb exponentially as the days progress.
and what the peak, according to that model, what was that peak day again? Was it April 17th, you said?
Yes, according to that model. Yes.
And just to be clear, right, like that model is a snapshot from a model that includes national level data, global level data. It includes hospital utilization rates. It includes ICU bed utilization rates. So there's a lot of information in there. But the data that Derek was showing was obviously deaths for Massachusetts only. But those are different depending upon what state you're in. So April 17th may be the peak for Massachusetts, but the peak somewhere else may be different. And obviously, to Derek's point, it could change even within Massachusetts. These are modeled forecasts essentially, and it's a little bit like forecasting the weather. The more data you have, the better job you can do of forecasting. You can do a better job of forecasting the next few days than you can 2 weeks out. So take it all for what it's worth. But the clear message here is that we are at the inflection point where social distancing is the most important thing people can do right now, no matter what people have been doing for the past couple of weeks. These next 2 weeks are absolutely critical, and people just need to stay home, period. Like, that's it. This is when it's going to make the most difference.
That's right. Yep. Well said. Well said.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else have any other further comments? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Maureen Dwinell, motion.